welcome to another episode of the Go Sokal podcast. I'm your host, Katy Welch.
And I'm your host, Chris Mulally, and we have an awesome episode today. We're going to dig into the NADA convention. This is what we recently attended down in Las Vegas. We're going to go into the details, why it's important, why you should attend, what we tried to get out of it. And I'm going to start off by asking Katy, our very own, some questions. She's going to be in the interview seat. We're going to have some fun.
I don't know if I like being in the interview seat over here. I'm supposed to ask the questions, not answer the questions. But as Chris alluded to, we just got back from the NADA show. So for those that don't know, the NADA stands for the National Automotive Dealers Association. And they put on an annual show every year. It usually starts on a Thursday for dealers and OEMs and anybody in the manufacturer realm for the automotive industry. And they put on, seminars and learning labs. And they've got keynote speakers. And, it's a great way for dealers to connect with other dealers and, have conversations with their OEM providers and that kind of thing, just to kind of get a lay of the land and what's upcoming. And then we have a expo that opens on Friday, and it's open for the weekend. And honestly, a dealer can come in and they can meet with any kind of professional, from marketing agencies to even banks for financing and lending, all the way into garage door bays for your service lanes. I mean, it is literally anything and everything that you can imagine for your dealership is there on that expo floor. So it's just a really good way, for dealers to come in and see what, if they need something or they want to switch providers, or it's a really good way to connect. And not only just with dealers and, maybe potential customers for us, but it's just a really good way for us also to connect with other vendors that, we may be able to partner up with. And it's a great opportunity. And we are very fortunate and that we get to go to this every year. And it really is beneficial for us as a company.
It is a huge, huge experience. It takes a lot of work behind the scenes to get us to that convention. A lot of sketching out ideas, coming up with drawings. What's the booth going to look like? What's the theme? Who are we taking from what departments? So many details, and it's so fun to see it all come together. And not to put the focus back on you, we will have a little segment in this podcast where we hear from the CEO, Melissa Clark, and then also National Account Executive, Emma Voice. But before we do that, excuse me, microphone, I wanted to talk to Katy herself because she was very, very instrumental in planning this NADA event for us and also once previously. But if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a few questions now.
Yeah.
First and foremost, if you look back up to this event, how long did it take in terms of total planning? Can you describe that process?
Yeah. So like you mentioned, we've been to NADA a couple times now. Last year it was virtual. And so that was a very different kind of concept being virtual versus this is the first major show that we've been to like this in person. So, we really started this and we started this last early summer, late spring, early summer is when we really started mapping this out, even though the show is obviously in spring of this year. The planning process, just once you have a booth space, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like you mentioned, it's finding the theme, it's meeting with a booth company, it's negotiating contracts, it's coming up with, every little detail, from the printed materials that we hand out to the giveaways. And, it is full hands-on deck. I'm instrumental in a lot of that organizing of it, but it really does take a lot of people from a lot of different departments to help put this on.
Why is it a good opportunity for us as an automotive advertising agency to attend something like this? It costs a lot of money. It takes a lot of time. What's the biggest draw, in your opinion, for us to go to something like this?
For us, SoCal's growing. We've grown a lot. I've been here 4 years, and we've gotten we've probably doubled in size, employee-wise and also client-wise. Yep. And, going to this show is an opportunity for not only our potential clients to see us there, but also other vendors there. It's other agencies. They may hear our name and be like, who are they? But when they see a booth that is the size of booth that we were able to put on at this show, it really sends a message we're somebody in this field. We are a key player, and it also lets OEM providers that we want to partner with. It lets them see that we're a force to be reckoned with, and we're somebody that they should give their time to. And if you don't, yes, you can have a great social media presence and you can be out there with podcasts and things like this, but this kind of show really puts you on the map. It really makes you stand out.
Awesome. And before we hear from Mel, one last question for you. What, in terms of like the leads and the new business that's oftentimes accomplished through an event like this, how do those even come about? Are they people walking up to? Is it people that have heard of you, or how does that all work?
Yeah, so a lot of times we'll be sitting at the booth, and people walk by, and obviously we try to have a good giveaway that people are interested in and want to come over and talk to you because they want to win what we're giving away. And it's just for me personally, and I know a lot of other salespeople and whatnot. It's just starting a conversation. We're not trying to be super salesy at these. Nobody has time or wants to take the time to sit down for like an hour demo of a product or whatnot. It's really just hey, this is who we are. This is what we can do for you. What's going on in your dealership? Like what rooftops do you have? Like what do you need help with?
Yep.
And and just kind of get them, just start a conversation. We can continue the conversation when everybody gets home and gets settled, but it's just getting the information into their hands and getting their contact information for us.
Definitely.
And then we have a team. Once we get back, we always have a team that's headed up by our new business development manager. That he helps and takes over the leads, and they work them and see what we can get from it. And it's not this is not a race; it's a marathon. Some of these people are yes they're ready to close, they're ready to do something today. Other times this may be a year before you see any kind of really ROI on these leads, but the good news is that you're making the connections, and that's the important thing.
Okay, so now let's get to our first segment with Melissa Clark, who is our CEO. And Melissa is basically going to talk a little bit about what quality advertising and premium services really means, the origin of our company with our founder, Mark Sokal, and then also she's describing the nature of our business in terms of we're only as good as someone's last month. So let's hand it over to Mel and Katy. This is recorded live at NADA.
As you can see today, we are not in our normal podcast studio. We are actually on location at the NADA convention in Las Vegas. And I am joined by a very special guest, Sokal CEO Melissa Clark. Melissa, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Katy. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Love this little venue you got here.
I know. It's a little different than where we normally film this.
Different.
It's kind of fun. So why don't you tell us about this booth? And as you can see, it's quite something. So
yes, absolutely. So we are in Las Vegas at the NADA, and we are super excited because we created an entire service garage. And I think it's definitely one of the most unique booths here, that's for sure.
For sure.
Took a little bit of a creative approach, and we owe our entire creative team to that. And yeah, we're really loving it. I've gotten lots of compliments. I'm sure you have as well.
Yes.
And people are just really interested to find out more in what we do. I think one of my favorite things is actually behind us. We actually have some of our actual employees. So this is really cool how they were able to, recreate kind of these famous photos. And there they all are. So I love that.
I do too. It's really interesting that, you talk about this service garage, this concept. I know a big tagline for this is like premium service.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
so, I think, our company, we're big on service. And, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So, quality advertising, premium service. So obviously, Mark Sokal, we talk about him multiple times, our wonderful founder, and he was actually a car dealer for years. So one of the biggest things when we opened Sokal is that he wanted to be treated how, he expects to be treated as a dealer. So, we really try to make sure we partner with some of our, clients, not always just be a vendor. And we really try to take a service approach and make sure people know that we're really here to help them, sell cars, learn more about them, learn their business, learn about their families, like get a little bit more personal. And not everybody really wants to do that. Some people just want to, unfortunately take your money every month. And we really want to genuinely help you in your business.
Sure. I've always heard Mark say, we're only as good as somebody's last month. That's
absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
kind of, we're not here to have...
It's such an interesting business, right? So, the game, as I like to call it, starts over every 30 days.
Oh, yeah.
And so you have to be back in the game every month. And there are some months where you don't always, follow through or have the best months, and so you got to get back out there and get back in the game. But for these guys who are trying to hit these, monthly lofty goals every month, they need you.
Sure.
So
absolutely.
Big deal.
Absolutely. So the NADA conference, happens every year, and I know Sokal, we're pretty new coming to this,
yeah.
And so how do you think that's made us stand out, from competitors back home in the playing field?
Yeah. So the cool thing about NADA is that you get to see like every single aspect of the car business. So it's not all just marketing and advertising or digital. I mean, you can see everybody from, the car wash people or the picture taking people,
Sure.
and you get to really actually see a lot of aspects of things you never even thought about that these dealers have to, work through every year and pick different vendors to work with. But there's a lot of different things when it comes to NADA besides just marketing and digital. But you have to, again, while we kind of have a creative booth, you have to stand out, you have to have the team, you have to have the people who can have a conversation. And I think that's just kind of what we try to do.
Well, and I think it's really interesting you brought up the team. We bring somebody from almost every department.
Absolutely.
And, I think that really sets us apart when, when people come up to talk to us about our products and services.
Right.
That, I may not be an expert in everything. I know all of our products, but I may not be an expert, but there's somebody here that is an expert that if, things are getting really detailed, that, we can give people the right answers on the spot.
Right, absolutely.
And I think that really sets us apart. When
we have, 22 different departments in SoCal, and so one of the biggest things that, we really try to push is, some people might just be interested in graphic design. So we have somebody from the graphic design department. We have somebody from SEO, which is huge. It's not just a sales organization. We even have somebody from production. So, just really trying to make sure you have somebody for everybody's needs, because just like these dealers are coming here to look for, the next digital retailing tool, they also might be coming to look for somebody to do their production. And it's helpful to have those people here with us. And it also obviously adds to the camaraderie and the team building. And it's really fun to get to know people that you don't normally get to work with.
Absolutely. And I think we're pretty big as a company about cross-training. And I think this gives us an opportunity to kind of take that to another level as well,
Yeah, and I think some of the people who do come not from necessarily a sales background get to really learn, what the sales team does, or vice versa. So that's always good.
Sure. So as far as, obviously coming to NADA every year is a big goal for SoCal. So do we have any other kind of big goals, lofty goals that this show is going to help us meet this year?
Yeah, I think, a few things. One of the reasons we really started trying to, go bigger with some of these things, whether it be NADA or digital dealer or any kind of trade show we can be a part of, is that we want to make sure that we are a, large player in the market. A couple years ago, we actually created our company goals, which you guys all know. And one of them is to become a major player in the digital marketing and technology aspect of automotive. And, coming to these shows is really what puts you on the map. We had a dealer come by this morning who said, are you guys, a new player? And I'm like, well, not really. We've been in business since 2003, but we're really trying to make a mark at this point. And so coming here and really showing people who we are and what we do is a big goal and a big aspect of why we do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, obviously I'm in the marketing department, and this is, this is our baby. Like, this is a big deal for us. This is what, we spent a lot of months working on something like this. And so to see it to come to life, and, and to see the, the ROI that we get from this. And then, just even being here, like you mentioned, like just seeing all of these amazing booths and all of these companies, it really just does put it in a perspective, like, what we're doing.
Yesterday morning, we woke up and like first thing we're like bright-eyed, and I'm like, let's go, big day. Like, it's almost like Christmas morning because you worked so hard. We talk about how we've seen multiple renderings of this, this amazing booth and amazing things we've been doing. It just doesn't
come to light until you see it.
Exactly,
it's not even the same.
And so when you finally get there that day, you're like, oh, this is so cool.
Yes.
So, and then just to hear such great feedback from everybody, whether it be vendors or clients. Like, we've had a lot of our own clients come by this booth and just say how awesome it is, and that's always nice to show our clients that we are a big player and they are partnered with the right team. Not everybody can say that. Not every dealer here probably has their marketing team here or their digital, team here. And so it's cool to be able to be like, we're here, we're a big player, and we appreciate you just as much as you appreciate us.
Right. Well, and even if their marketing team or their marketing company is here, they may not have somebody from SEO or PPC or graphic design that they can come up to and have an actual conversation and be like, hey, look, I want to do this. I'm interested in micro moments. I'm interested in changing up some things. We can have those conversations. We have the right people here.
Yes, that's great you said that, because this morning we had another dealer come up and want to talk about search, and it was nice to be able to have Michaela from the digital team be like, well, here, this is the person who literally puts the strategy together for all of our search. And so that's huge. And she, has an amazing team back in Raleigh with Brian and the entire pay-per-click team. And so we're able to really give some, good insight to these guys. So I think we have a team of 25 people here.
I think, yep.
So that's a lot. And the cool thing is, lots of people have said this a few times, but we roll deep. I mean, we hang out together, we do things, and so it's really cool to be able to see people get to know each other and work, because at the end of the day, the goal is to pick up more clients, but also just let our current clients know, like, we're here for you, and we're just trying to do the best.
Sure, absolutely. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk
Katy.
to us.
Appreciate everything you do as always.
Thank you.
So let's look at a little footage from the event. So another question for you, Katy. What was the best compliment that you received about the booth or your guys' presence there?
Well, I was told by a lot of people that we had probably one of the best booths there, that it was very creative. People would come over to our booth because it was so creative. There was nothing else like it there.
Yeah.
And that really sets us apart. And I think that alone is just a huge compliment, because we worked so hard on this. And so for other people to recognize how cool and unique it was really was a great compliment.
Awesome. Was there anything in particular that surprised you this year?
Yeah, coming out of COVID, the past 2 years, a lot of things have gone virtual. We were there in 2020, right before the pandemic started. And, last year, obviously, it was digital, it was virtual. And, coming back this year to an in-person live event like this, you're never sure of what that's going to look like. Or people, and especially with, Omicron that was started before this, and how, serious that was, and how things kind of, had tightened back up with restrictions and whatnot. And, things really started lifting, at the beginning of the year. And, you just never know if people are going to want to travel, or if, is it going to be safe, or, are conventions even going to be able to go on, are they going to be able to happen? So, in my opinion, just to be able to see, just to see the magnitude of the show for really the first year back, and a couple, in over a year, that was just, a great surprise to me. And it was a really good sign that, things are going back to normal, which, with events and things, that's fantastic.
So now let's get back to our second pre-recorded segment at NADA, and this one's going to be with Emma Voice, National Account Executive, and she's going to talk about how NADA is a chance to get connected with vendors and brands, why OEMs are awesome, why sometimes dealers shy away from them, and then also how they work for dealers. All right, let's do it.
Up next on the Go Sokal podcast, we are going to be joined by Emma Voice, who is our National Account Executive. So, Emma, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we're obviously here at NADA. We're not in the normal podcast studio,
No.
So it's a little bit of a change. So, but let's, we're here, and from an OEM standpoint, because I know that's what you do is mostly as a National Account Executive, you handle a lot of our OEM relations, and as far as with our dealerships.
Right.
So being here at NADA, what exactly does that mean for your division of Sokal?
Right. So I think what's so great about NADA is it gives us a chance to really get in front of dealers one-on-one, and also vendors and other people that are in the space, and especially the brands that are here. Especially because of COVID and the pandemic, it's been so hard to really have that one-on-one time or even FaceTime with them. So it's a great time for us to really take advantage of this and have exposure and have those conversations that really lead to great things later.
Sure. So I know a lot of our dealers, their manufacturers will all have, OEM programs and whatnot.
Right.
So I know most people probably know what an OEM program is, but can you just elaborate a little bit on what an actual OEM program is and what it does for a dealership?
Yeah, so essentially the OEM programs are so great because they're a coordinated effort between the tiers to make sure that there's no competition between the dealerships, that everyone is kind of working in their swim lanes. And really, the greatest thing is that you get compliance, all of that is done for you, all of the billing is handled, so you don't have to worry about that. You can worry about selling cars and doing follow-up on things.
Sure.
And really, it's nice to not have to worry that you have to do any of your advertising. It's handled for you, and it's done with the greatest ROI possible.
Wow. So are most dealers, I'm assuming most dealers are probably in an OEM program.
I would say it typically is around 50%.
Wow, really?
For DigAd specifically. It's a little trickier to get dealers invested in DigAd, especially with, inventory lately, but it's a big push, I know, just because it is such a driving force.
So why wouldn't a dealer want to be part of an OEM program if they can be?
I think a lot of the problems that they have is they don't like to, I guess, be forced into picking a certain provider.
Sure,
or a lot of the
sure.
times they're forced to pick providers that might not have the best customer service, or they're worrying about, I've called them and emailed them and I haven't heard from them in a month.
Sure.
So,
and they're locked in too, right?
Exactly.
So they can't just, they're not getting the service they like or they want.
Yes.
They're
kind
locked
of stuck in that
for a little bit, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think for us, that's what really sets us apart. Is it's a good way for us to show that we have that premium service. We can really handle anything within minutes, seconds, hours, not days and weeks. That is huge for us. We are a lean, mean team. Everyone is ready and knows what's going on all the time, has a pulse on it, and we are making changes at the speed of business. So I think that's really sets us apart and what helps us to get dealers invested in DigAd.
Sure. I think the digital advertising space, obviously, it's just the way of the world now. You can't help it.
Right.
It's a digital world. It is what it is. But, I think with digital ads, it's something that's kind of tricky because it's not tangible. Back
Right.
like when, you had radio ads or TV ads or even like newspaper ads, like that's something that you can actually physically see, what you're running. And, with, digital ads, yes, you're telling them you're getting so many X amount of impressions, but they're not seeing 250,000 impressions themselves.
Totally.
And so I think that makes it a little bit tricky too, and that you really have to have the trust with your service provider.
And I think that's another good point that really sets us apart, is that we're really transparent and we like to really show them what's under the hood. Because so many dealers have that same frustration where they're thinking, I'm throwing all this money at campaigns and I have no idea what it's doing for me. And that's something that we want to really answer for them and show them what's working and what's not and how we can fix it if it's not.
Sure. And I think, with our company as well, we have a very, very strong audience strategy.
Right.
We really spend a lot of time and research on that, and I think that is super important. And the retargeting factors that we have with that, I think, I know other people obviously are doing this, but I really think Sokal has a secret sauce for this.
For sure. And the fact that we can do every single thing in-house also keeps it super streamlined, makes sure that everything is, the same and aesthetically the same.
Right.
And also just puts the dealership's best foot forward.
Right. So do you have any goals leaving this show? I know, obviously NADA is a huge show. There's a lot of competition here for us, of course. So what are some of your goals as far as when we get done here today? Like what are you planning to do?
I think our biggest goals is just to have those conversations with all of our reps at the brands specifically, especially around our website platform and things like that, since we aren't currently in any website programs, but that's something that is huge for us because we do websites at Sokal as well.
So that you bring up an interesting point. So if a dealer, let's say they do want to partner with us for an OEM program, and you just mentioned that we're not on any of the website lists, but a lot of them can still use our websites.
A lot of the time they can. It really depends on the brand.
Okay.
But a lot of the times they're able to, or we're trying to get an exception to the rule.
We always love those. We love those. We love those. Well, Emma, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit on and talk to me today. I learned a lot, and I know probably some of our viewers learned a lot as well. So, and thank you for listening and following us as always. We really do appreciate it.
Katy, I know this was a huge, huge experience for everybody involved and for our company, for people who may be able to attend in the future. What, in conclusion, can you say about the NADA experience?
Yeah, we took a team of 25 people to this. It's the largest team we've ever taken to a show like this before. So I'm really, really, I couldn't be more proud of all the work that we put into this, from our creative teams to our marketing department to people that volunteered to be in photographs for the booth.
Yeah, definitely.
It literally just was a complete team effort, and I couldn't be more proud of our team. And I'm really looking forward to the next one, which will be in Dallas next year in January. So, we're getting ready to gear up to start working on that one already. So it's, it never stops, but that's what makes it a lot of fun too.
Awesome. Thank you very much for listening. We hope you enjoyed our little in-depth experience on NADA. And Katy, do you want to sign us off?
I sure will, Mulally. Sure will. Thanks again for watching this episode of the Go Sokal podcast. For more information, check us out on our website, follow us on social media, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, we'll see you soon.